Someone could come back at me and say that I'm equivocating. It looks as if I'm saying that conditioning is bad because it's manipulative, but then I turn around and say that self-conditioning could be good, in the sense of self-determination or self-discipline or autonomy. If I mean self-determination, then it can't be expressed as self-conditioning, because conditioning, by its very nature, presupposes having been programmed to want certain things and reject others. The process of conditioning is anathema to autonomy. It's essentially the opposite of self-determination, and so the very term self-conditioning is nonsense. It's a contradiction in terms. I think this critique is a little bit bleak. My conditioning, in the best of all possible worlds, is to be creative and productive with my time, to look after my health as much as I can, and seek a positive relationship with the necessary rituals of life. But I haven't been conditioned to do lifting. That's something that I've done by myself, just as another person decides to take up golf or rock climbing or cello. Perhaps it's overstatement to say that I've conditioned myself to do weight training. Maybe I've just pushed myself into it. But insofar as I've turned it into a practice that I take pleasure in and discover some affection for, it involves a process that can't happen all at once. I've talked myself into it, rather than simply pushing myself into it. I've cultivated a desire for lifting, and if I hadn't sought the love, then it wouldn't have been sustained. I concede that you can't brainwash yourself unless it's imaginary or hysterical or self-hypnosis, but weight training seems very normal to me, a bit like walking, and whatever degrees of conditioning propitiate the habit, it's hard to see it as unconscious, because it's clearly a choice. I can imagine that my conditioning prevents me from being idle, but there are so many other forms of activity that would satisfy my conditioning, and yet I've opted for this one, because it apparently reconciles a lot of contradictory demands, and it seems like a rational strategy. The only thing is that I have to stick with it, and that can be hard without self-persuasion, self-discipline, self-conditioning at a pinch. I think that mechanism, whatever it is the one chance in life to pick what spots will be on the leopard.